Okay, so today we got something special. I'm primarily a knife maker and a tinkerer of all things. I like to be able to make just about anything. And that's led me down a path of needing to, well, I'll just open this box here and show y'all what it is and see what kind of a situation I'm working with, because these will be familiar to some people. Let's just not waste time. Let's get after it. Alright, we had to stop recording because I needed help getting this thing out of the box. My elbow's still acting up. But we did get it out, and this is sitting on the outside, and that's it. It is that Chinese shoe mending machine. Instructions look good. They actually look better than some of the videos I've seen. So maybe they're taking to some of the comments that have been said about instructions and stuff. It's well printed, and it's glossy paper too. But here's the real deal. We'll find out if I wasted my money or if I got a decent one that I can tune in. There's that. Oh wow. It amazes me. I've seen some packages with this little bag of tools, but I don't think I've seen anybody on YouTube that got an oiler with theirs. So mine come with an oiler and bag of tools, some needles, the hardware for mounting the feet, and it also came with the wire for fetching the thread down. This is the stand, of course, not going to be used. The thread, that's actual thread. I don't know what kind, but it's not the more fishing line stuff that I've seen and heard. So that's good news. It is covered with oil. And a lot of people talk about that, but reality is this stuff ships from China, of course. But when it does that on those ships, if they don't do this, it actually can rust just in the shipping. So it's not nothing really to complain about because they're doing it for a reason. So you just have to spend some time cleaning to cut that bag because I couldn't get the handle. Handle's a lot bigger than a lot of the ones I've seen. I think it's even bigger than the picture was on Amazon. Grooves look good in here. Machined pretty well. It was a little janky. I was actually getting excited because along with this coming in, the final parts for my lathe should be arriving tomorrow. I was hoping they'd get here today, but I was going to look to turn a better handle, but this one's pretty good. Little cheap wood one. All right, and the machine itself. Just have the thread holder kind of sitting in here, laying precariously. Get that out of the way. I'll go ahead and pull these legs out too. As most of y'all know, these are junk. You use these for whatever else you can. They're not good for this machine. I have seen where a lot of people are putting these together and trying them, and they're doing it backwards. They're setting it with the machine sewing end with the single leg, and if you looked at any of the videos that actually show what you're supposed to do, the two legs are supposed to go up front. And maybe that's why there's been always some sort of issue with that, is because everybody don't listen and follow instructions very well and they do it backwards. I've also seen pretty gnarly welds on some of these plates, but these actually look pretty good. I mean, pretty good by my eye. It looks like I could have welded this. which is better than I've seen online, but still not great welds. Should have put on gloves before I started this one. Looks pretty good. There's thread through there. It's got a test piece of leather. It's ran and been tested before. But all in all, it looks pretty decent. I don't feel any. Yeah, I do slightly. I'm gonna have to clean up some of those edges. Yeah, I'll have to file down the screw. These are all things that most people end up having to do, so it's not abnormal at all. But all in all, it looks like a pretty good machine. Where this is brazed on mine, it looks, there's some voids. It could have been done better, so that might be something I have to deal with one day. This brings in a lot more tension to it than I've seen in some of them for the bobbin reel. And then, per usual, here's the other bobbin reels and carrier. Just a quick glance, there's not too bad of machining marks on here. I'll be able to start with a really high grit and clean that up and just make it really good. But overall, this one looks good. I don't know what the one below looks like. Everything looks good. Let me take some time, just give it a good look over, possibly get it set up on something, and then see where we go from there. Alright, so here's the plan to mount it. This will probably change for a more permanent solution, but I just cut two 2x4s. Got one longer than the other, that way I can fit my clamp in here, clamp it down to something. Should be out of the way of the work surface and stuff like that. So I'm going to get these two 2x4s together real quick, using 1.5" screws. And then I've got some longer screws to mount it straight down. These are just deck screws. I do see, and I don't like the idea of just having two mounting points there, but I don't see how I can add another one effectively. But it just seems like a poor design flaw to me, or a poor design to me. So let's just take a second, get this thing mounted up, and see if we can get to cleaning. All right. I'll start the first ones on the bottom, drive them in until they're not seen. Again, just deck screws. Just get a good tight fit on those. I'm not looking for rocket science here. I'm going to keep this area a little free. No, I did that backwards. We'll just cross our fingers and pray it all works out. That's what I do with like 90% of my work anyway. I just cross my fingers and hope it all works out. I get those two done. I might need a drill extension to get the longer ones. Let's just see. I'll probably get one without the drill extension, but I might be able to get the other one too. Y'all knew that was going to happen, didn't you? Get some kids out playing down the road if y'all hear them. Well, I stripped that bit out completely. Let me get a new bit real quick. It's a T20. I think I got another one.
I do not.
Still on. Me and my daughter built a whole deck with those bits, and we never stripped out one. That same bit, and then first time I'm using it on this, strips. It's always when you need to do one more screw that something has an issue. Look at that. Zoom in right here. Look at that. I just switched out this Torx bit to brand new and never used before, and it sheared that Torx bit right off. That's shot. Let me see what brand that is. Huh. Christmas gift last year. Hyper tough. I guess it wasn't so tough. But it's the only kit I had that had, you'll see I have everything in here. I rarely use this, but it's the only kit I had that had a T20 Torx bit in it. And now it's got a broken T20 Torx bit in there. Say that for later too. Alright, so we flipped it around. My daughter is the camera person, and she was just really scrutinizing the fact that I just strapped a flashlight to the tripod of the camera to make that thing have some light on this side. One thing I do need, I need a lot more light in the garage. So just putting the thread holder on there. So I guess if you're using that one, that doesn't work so good. But I don't normally do this, but whenever I bought from Amazon, it said, hey, people usually always buy these two items as well. So that's what I did. Stop it. Gotta love those air compressor interruptions. So I got the thread on there, but what I was showing you is I went ahead and bought the thread that everybody else was getting. It upped the cost of the whole thing by 20 bucks to get the thread. And then I also bought needles that everybody else was getting. It's a 10-pack 125-20. My out of frame.
You were covering almost all of it.
So I grabbed that stuff. Like I said, I don't know if this is any. It didn't look. That thread doesn't look much better than the thread that came with it. So we'll just give it all a try and see what it does. I might have to go pick up some real thread from somewhere. But let's get in close here, as I don't know a lot about these, but I have seen the way to thread it. I didn't look at the manual. I pretty much remembered it. But looking at this, they are only through one tensioner. I wonder if this is going to be a telltale sign of I probably just only need to be through one tensioner as well, given that they tested it through one tensioner. But what I want to do is I'll see if I can't get this thing threaded, and we'll try to see if we can't, cut some stitches on it. I got to mount the wheel on there too, so probably be a little while for me, but you guys will see this at warp speed. Okay, so we pretty much, all I've done, set the wheel on, ran the thread. I kept it through the single tensioner. It felt a little too tight, just kind of pulling on it, so I loosened it up a little bit. That is all I've done. So what I'm gonna do, I've got 2 pieces of 9/10 ounce leather here. It's from the scrap pile from Hobby Lobby that I recently bought. So I'm just gonna throw 2 on here and we're just gonna give it a go. No time like the present. This will show us how jagged our foot is that we need to fix, and how much that's gonna tear things up, but it'll also let us know if we're getting any stitches. So let's just get after it. Give it a shot. Just do a quick back stitch here. I'm still learning where that lever is in the back. Learning to feel for it and get it all straight. Let's just run a quick back stitch and see how well it back stitches. Do a 3-stitch back stitch. Alright. Lift our foot. Give it some slack. Alright, let's get zoomed in here on this stitching. You can see my back stitch. We'll find it here in the camera. So I got the back stitch 3 stitches. Hit the same hole every time. Pretty good stitching. There's the bottom stitch. The bottom stitch is that plasticky leather or thread. It's definitely that plastic thread that everybody talks about getting the normal one. But there's some footwork to do. It left some pretty deep grooves. I don't know how well they're coming off on the camera, but there's some pretty deep grooves, so I definitely need to clean that foot up. But otherwise, I mean, that's
Hold it up. Hold it up more.
I mean, that's pretty decent in my opinion, considering I'm a saddle stitcher, and that's what I do most of the time is saddle stitch. So there, I got that thread pulled in to where it's in the center. This first one doesn't want to do it, but looks pretty good, guys. I'll keep working at this. I'll get it all cleaned up. I'll do a lot of the finishing touches on, making sure we're smooth in here. I'm going to do a lot of sanding probably on the bobbin for sure, the needle and the foot internally, and get those smooth. There's no reason not to, in my opinion. I think it's worth it. $100, not that bad. I do want to give y'all another quick update before I wrap this video up, but it requires a camera move. So get the camera moved, get it set up, give y'all an update, and the next time you see this, hopefully it's in action. Oh, before I do that, let me bring you in real close and show you some points of concern that I do have for this. One of the key things that I noticed here, I'm going to use their screwdriver as a pointer. I think that's probably the best use for it. So this one has a good gap, and it's not smooth. It needs to be cleaned out, because if the thread catches on any of this, it's going to fray it, it's going to do stuff. This actually, there's no gap here. There was an attempt to cut a gap. There's no gap here. I'm going to double check and look at some others and see if there should be a gap there, but mine has no gap, and it did seem to run pretty good with this thread, with this setup. The stitching looks good to me and what I know, so I don't know if it's it's going to ever be necessary, but I'll get it cleaned up as part of the rest of this. And let's get that camera moved and let's go over to the lathe real quick. Alright, so first off, my lathe, if you're seeing this surface rust on the ways, that happened today. My lathe last night, whenever I left the garage, it was just fine. There's not as much oil back here. I wasn't thinking to keep it oiled back here, but even across here, where I've normally been working and where the squeegees come on, just the slightest surface rust has showed up through there. And I'll tell you, today's an abnormal day. We're the 9th of December, something like that. I can't remember what today is, but 9th or the 10th of December, and we are, my daughter keeps telling me it's the 10th, you know, kids are always smarter than us anyway, but it got up to like 80 degrees here in Arkansas, and the humidity was just insane today. It's still humid. My shop floor is actually wet with humidity, because my wonderful wife leaves the garage door open whenever she goes anywhere, and then all that just kind of soaks in here. But what I'm excited about is the mill has not been complete. We did have its birthday. It happily turned 69 years old not too long ago. And I'm just going to throw stuff everywhere because I had that shelf cleaned off until I started talking to y'all and doing everything. But the reverse gearbox has been an issue. Reverse gearbox, of course, it mounts right here. I have had this off. It used to mount right there. There it goes. Alright, so it mounts right there. I've had this reverse gearbox off because my gears in that gearbox are just obliterated. They are worn out way past their use date. This one, see if we can zoom in on how bad that one's wore. Pretty wore out. So what would happen is it would work in one direction, but it would not work in the other direction. Of course, there's another gear here that engages left and right and stuff like that, but it would work in one direction, wouldn't work in another direction at all. Here's the good news. I've got a new complete gearbox. The gearbox that I bought, I will put the guy's name in the description below. He's a great guy. He's from up in New York. I bought my apron from him, a couple other things. Mentioned him before, but he found a gearbox and he called me knowing I was needing the gearbox. So that's a kind of level of service that you don't get everywhere. He called me. I think he was on his way to look at the lathe, and he's like, hey, I'm only going to get this lathe if it's got a good gearbox. So that's kind of exciting to me, and of course I don't mind paying a fair price for that stuff, because these gears, each one of these gears will normally run you about $60 if you get a decent one. So I was happy to give my money to him. So the gearbox is going to be here tomorrow. Again, the box itself is cracked. He told me about that. I said just give it to me all, because if it's not. Sometimes it's not so bad that if I need a spare or something to be fine. And though I've got a couple of decent gears and I really only need to replace this one, given how much these are and how rare they are, I wanted to get some backups. So I went ahead and bought the whole kit and caboodle from him. So hopefully real soon we're going to see an actual finish this lathe video. But for the rest of today, I need to get this thing cleaned up and old because this humidity just wrecked it today. Well, thanks for watching. Hope to see y'all again real soon. And again, comment below if you know of any end-mill bits that are good enough quality without breaking the bank. Can you get in close on this?
I got as close as I can. Let it focus on.
Get in real. Bring the camera over here. I'll edit all this. Get in here close. Close, 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 close. I need you to see right here. I need you to focus right here. Pick it up. Get it in here. You still recording? Oh, look. Look at that. She's trying to get it focused in. Y'all see that? The end of this Torx bit just sheared off.
How do I get it to focus?
You do the focus. It's out here. It's way out here. No, way.
Wait, I have to zoom it back out. No, I can't.
Alright, stop the
Okay,
recording.
hold on, let me-
Stop the recording. Start it. But you know, stop.
Oh, I got it focused
Listen,
now.
Stop.